want you to listen to this one segment. Play a segment, please.
Look at me. Where are they?
They're dead, all right? Can I go now?
I'm sorry. Don't you think you'd be safer here with us? These people are here to protect you. You're soldiers.
It won't make any difference.
Sometimes the small voice of the customer that we hear in customer service on the front lines is a chilling message of failure in some larger venue. It's a very hard message to bring back because the bravado of the base organization wants to dismiss it. It's just this, or it's whatever that. The small voices I'm going to show you now are not so small, because one of them is the largest retailer in the world. That's not exactly a small voice, but we are not listening very well as an industry to voices. We, in this group, are the communicators of that voice, and I am encouraging you to think a little differently as we go forward on communication. I'll give you a little history lesson. Everybody knows this picture. Man celebrated as the greatest person in the last 100 years. Remember when we celebrated in 2000? You see that light overhead in his head? That's, everybody wants to make a big deal about the one he's holding. I don't want to worry about that one. I want to focus on the one that's overhead, because that's the one that he got pissed off at. Because the reason he shifted the research at the Edison Research Center was because the gas company was picking on him for not paying his bills. He shifted the research because he wanted to get even with the gas company. That is not Joel's opinion. Forbes magazine, at the turn of the century, honored him by that whole story. You can get it out of Forbes if you go back to the library. Customer service matters, folks. We piss off a customer, especially one of influence, they do things. They make choices. He shifted his research and did indeed invent the electric light. Interesting, what happened then was the gas companies, I have an excellent, this is the most recent one. The gas companies recognized opportunities, and the gas companies backed Edison. Here are two slides that I'm going to show you from Washington Gas Energy Systems, which may surprise you. These are just recent. They just happened a couple of days ago. Awarded a contract to build, own, and operate solar energy. A gas company doing that? Why not? Why not? Because in the eyes of the customer, it makes sense. Go to the next slide. Washington, D.C.'s Union Station, now powered 100% by wind energy provided by a gas company. You want to get between, you don't want somebody to get between you and your customer? Well, somebody just did. Because they listened to the customer about what they wanted, and you failed to provide what they wanted. That's clearly what happened. Here's the one that I mentioned earlier. Small retailer, you all know, the largest retailer in the world, Walmart. This slide was given to me when I keynoted the presentation at the National Accounts meeting for EEI, and they presented this information there a couple of months ago. You'll notice that the brown power, which is the conventional power from electric utilities, is going away. Back then, that right-hand timeline wasn't clear, but as of this morning, okay, did that slide now? As of this morning, it became clear. The president of Walmart announced this morning in the press, by 2020, they will no longer buy regular electricity from any utility in the United States. Zero. That didn't come from some low-level geek in the energy department. That came from the president of Walmart, the largest retailer. Now, you can have a reaction to this and go, you sons of bitches. And if you get that reaction, that's why you need to see that first episode I talked about on this issue. We have a customer trust question. We have an opportunity. We need to look at reputation management and see where we're failing now and get on the ball. We need to speed up our cycles of innovation. We need to get with it, folks. We need to start thinking about what customers are looking for. And the panel following me is going to illustrate how, frankly, diverse that point of view can be. And it's really healthy to have all these different points of view. I welcome that. But most importantly, we need to monitor where customers are. What are they looking at? And ask for feedback on all channels. I would suggest that if you want to take away here a 3-star item from my presentation, as was pointed out earlier, when I would put 3 stars, ask for feedback on all channels. Can your customers tell you what they think on the channel? I don't care what that channel is. Can they give you feedback? Feedback? What do you don't want to know what customers think. We already researched that. Well, you want a point of view? Go give them a chance to give it to you. That feedback's going to tell you something. In many cases, it's going to tell you your message is confusing. It's going to tell you they can't navigate wherever they are. It's going to tell you you're missing stuff they're looking for. It's going to give you that feedback you desperately need. And then position yourself for moments of truth. In other words, when the customer is trying to make a decision, position yourself. Now, the way I'd like to end this is another customer service message. It's very easy to lose a sense of humor with how quickly things are changing. And I understand that. You know, customer service jobs are some of the toughest jobs in any company because we're the lightning rod, right? We're the people that people complain to. And so by definition, it's really easy to just frankly feel like you're just beat down. Susan and I talk about the job we would never want is a pastor in our church, because it's just, oh my word, you just know you're going to get hit with all of life's tragedies. You know, it's not just about births and weddings, it's about things that you just don't want to even hear. And so I could never be a pastor in church, but even a customer service rep, you're constantly dealing with stuff that just frankly, you know, it's like, oh, another call. We talked about that yesterday. Here's a picture of Gutenberg's press. This is the man who was considered the most important person of the last 1,000 years. And I like a little story here because I think it's an interesting object lesson on how we change a culture for innovation. The story goes that he was sitting there back then, and this was before movable type. They were using wood tablets, and they were carving and trying to get the print on that tablet so that he could use it on the press. He became so upset because he made a mistake. Now, of course, back then you couldn't call it a typo because they hadn't been a type yet. So I guess you'd call it a chippo or a poundo. But the point is, it was a mistake. He threw the tablet to the floor. It broke into pieces. And his wife came in, hearing the noise because he left, and spelled "I love you" on his workbench with the pieces from the floor. Being an engineer like me, he goes, cool, movable type, that's a great idea. A relationship person would have kissed his wife, thank you, dear, it's very comforting, thank you, you just actually created some great innovation in my mind. But Tom Fanning talked about innovation. One of the killers to innovation is the condemnation when we make a mistake. You know what? Almost all of the greatest innovations that have come out in the last couple of years, the last 100 years, have come from things that didn't work that we could figure out would make something else good. You've all heard the Post-it notes, and it was the glue that wouldn't work. Look, the fact is, just because something doesn't work the way we thought it should work doesn't mean it's not a great idea. And our organizations need to keep trying things and innovate. But the message in the organization should never be condemnation for trying. No. Whether you actually spell "I love you" out on their workbench may be a little bit over the top for some of you, but spiritually, I think it's the right direction for us to promote innovation. The idea is if we can get that innovative talent pushing towards the goal, we can do pretty well. So that's basically it, as far as I'm concerned. It's always been about the customer experience, focusing on 3 words: agility, mind share, and impact. And before I introduce the panel, let me take any questions if any of you have.
Start applauding.
Okay, we can go straight to the panel if you'd like, but I don't want to rush anybody.
I think we should applaud Joel.
We're going to have a distinguished panel. We've got some fun presentations. I'm going to let them each present for up to 15 minutes.